to our third hour. Dino Abdallah is on the line with us. He is the host of the Dino Abdallah Show, weekdays 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern on SiriusXM Progress, channel 127. He's a columnist of the Daily Beast. His website, deanofradio.com, and you can tweet him at Dean of Comedy. Dean, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me on, Tom.
It's great having you with us. You do a great show on our channel.
You do a really great. I learned from you, and listeners call me who listen to your show and love your show to either correct me or to update information. They go, Tom talked about this. I'm like, all right, I have to do more homework. Okay. So you pushed me, I'm not even kidding, to do more. I prepare much more over the last few months than I did in the beginning of the show, and I've learned more, and a lot is listening to you. I'm not kidding.
Well, thank you. That's very, very kind of you. And just to flip it back around, the reason I wanted to get you on is because you've done some research and some learning on something that I was kind of out of touch with. I've been out of the country for the last week also. This shooter down in Parkland, Florida, has possibly a motivation, certainly a personality and political profile, which is not being discussed in our media. Tell us about this.
Sure. Well, what happened was a short time after the shooting broke a few weeks ago on February 14th, about the day after, there were some claims that the gunman, Nikolas Cruz, may have been involved with a white supremacist group or not. Some white supremacist group claimed that they were together with him. It turns out that was unfounded. But the profile of Nikolas Cruz then was essentially ignored, and everything in our media gravitated to just exclusively mental illness. And clearly this kid was trouble. There's no denying that. But there's been more and more evidence. And last Tuesday, to me, really we had a jaw-dropping moment where the media said that on the gun magazines he brought to the shooting that day at Parkland, Florida, and he had many guns and many magazines, on those magazines he brought to school with him to kill his fellow classmates were magazines where he had etched swastikas into them.
Wow.
And that got just a little bit of press. I'm like, why is this not getting more attention when you know the work of this guy? And that's what prompted me to write an article for Daily Beast about it last week.
You know, if he had etched Viva Fidel on those gun magazines, what would have happened?
Well, of course, if he would have anything, if he
or ISIS forever.
The word Akbar, as I wrote in my article, because I'm Muslim. First of all, it would have taken 2 weeks to learn that. Let's be blunt about another issue going on, that for 2 weeks that was not released to us when they knew in the moments after arresting him and taking his guns that there were swastikas etched onto his gun magazines. If he had etched Allah Akbar, instantly the story would have changed. We would have known within hours. Someone would have leaked it or intentionally released that information. And
Trump would have tweeted it.
Oh, my God. Trump would have used it for his political gain. I mean, don't forget, during the campaign, there was a shooting in Florida, Orlando, and Donald Trump within hours patted himself on the back saying, well, you know, the idea I was right. You don't have to tell me I'm right, thank you, but I know I'm right. There's Islamic terrorism going on. But this got so little attention that he etched these swastikas because the media narrative is that if you're white, that mental illness must be almost exclusively the reason for why you commit horrible acts. Yeah. And if you're brown or black, they look for other things. And if you're Muslim, we know exactly where they go. So to me, though, it wasn't just about fairness. The workup of this kid by CNN and others was that he had online had spewed anti-Semitic comments. He used the N-word, very anti-immigrant. He had talked about Mexicans wanting to kill them, hating black people because of their skin color.
Sounds like a normal Trump voter.
Well, and he had worn a Trump hat a few times, which is only relevant because you could wear it ironically, but it's relevant because everything he spewed was consistent with the Trump agenda, to be quite blunt, anti-Muslim, anti-black, anti-immigrant, and you start saying he was anti-gay as well, this guy, and of course Donald Trump wanted to impose a ban on transgender Americans serving our military. He really, everything there was every box of a white supremacist. And with the swastikas adding to that, you're like, there's something going on. And our media is uncomfortable exploring this. That's what I really get a sense.
Mm. Have you seen any decent coverage on this at all? I mean, I was unaware of this. Well, I had seen it mentioned in passing actually in an article in the Huffington Post. But beyond that, hearing from you, that's when it really got on my radar. And I didn't know, frankly, about the swastika in the magazines. I knew that he had, had the "Make America Great" hat, and
right.
And that he had posted some pretty vile stuff. But has this just like washed past us now as the media cycle, cranked along, and we're not going to revisit this, and or is there some way to point this out? And what do we do about this more broadly? I mean, when George W. Bush was president, he asked the FBI to commission reports on terrorism dangers from indigenous terrorist groups, and they put together one about Muslim extremists, and they put one together about right-wing extremists. And the one about right-wing extremists, actually, maybe the first one wasn't even Muslim. Maybe it was left-wing or whatever. But
right.
But the one about the right-wing extremists came out by coincidence in the first months of the Obama administration. The Republicans freaked out so much that Obama suppressed that report. And now, if we look back, I mean, over the last 20 years, we've had more people in America killed by right-wing terrorists than any other group.
Absolutely, Tom. And that's part of the problem. I mean, my goal in this article was not about the hypocrisy of the media, because we'll go through that all day. There's a lot of hypocrisy. The media is run by ratings and what sells. A media narrative sell of a scary brown guy who's a Muslim, who's a foreigner, or the scary black guy. The scary white guy has to be mentally unstable. And one other fact here, in the Israeli newspaper, the liberal paper out there, Haaretz, about a week ago, before I wrote my article, a week before that, a Jewish reporter had written an article about, was this attack anti-Semitic, noting that of the 17 killed at the school, 5 were Jewish. It could have been 6. They're not sure about one other. And the gunman had shot into a Holocaust history class. Don't forget, he had went to this school cruise. So was that a coincidence? The paper in Israel saying they don't think it was, but no one asked the questions. Getting to your bigger point here, yes, the ADL, as I cite in my article, put out a report in early this year.
This is the Anti-Defamation League.
Yeah, looking back at 2017. There were 34 extremist-related deaths on U.S. soil, all different right-wing, left-wing Muslim extremists. Of those, 18 people were killed by white supremacists, meaning over half of the extremist-related deaths on U.S. soil were by white supremacists. From Charlottesville to a man coming to here in New York, James Jackson coming to kill black people, he killed one, to Portland, Oregon, and the list goes on. And Trump, except for Charlottesville, where he was shamed into criticizing, as we all recall, and then even called them very fine people, doesn't want to talk about these people who are from his base. I have to be honest. These are extremist white supremacists who have been emboldened by Donald Trump on both the idea of nonviolent activities, just marching and feeling good about themselves, to even violent activities. Right. And when the president is silent and actually isn't defending them, we're going to see more. We've seen a great spike in neo-Nazi groups growing in 2017. The Southern Poverty Law Center, as I know in my article, just came out with a report just a week ago of 954 active hate groups on U.S. soil in 2017. Half of the groups are white supremacists. This is a major spike. And the Trump administration is ignoring it. They've done nothing, and we are less safe as a result.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And not a good direction for us to be going. We just have 20 seconds here until we're going to hit a hard break, Dean.
Sure.
Talking to Dean Obadallah, who's on Sirius XM Progress 6 to 9 p.m. Do you think that publicizing this is feeding it? It concerns me.
I think publicizing it in a way is you have to make people aware of the threats out there. I mean, even Trump said, if we don't name it, we can't fight it.
Right. I
think we have to be aware of it, and that's how we fight it. And then see something, say something.
Yeah, but on top of that, though, it almost seems like when the media, well, I don't know. I'm thinking the whole disaster porn dimension of it, Right. But that's another conversation for another time, and I'm sorry we're out of time.
No problem. Nice chatting with you, Tom. I always appreciate it.
Keep up the great show. Keep up the great work, Dean. Great talking to you, and your piece is over at the Daily Beast.
Yes.
So thank you very much. DeanofRadio.com.